It's a simple symbol with a sophisticated message: peace. It's an emblem of protest recognized the world over. It's a sign of understanding. It's a sign of worth. It's a sign of optimism. It's a sign of harmony. It's a sign of serenity. But where did this sign come from? Gerald Holtome, a textile designer and a member of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, was asked to create signs and banners for a march from London to Aldermaston, where nuclear weapons were developed by the British government. The year was 1958. Holtome was inspired by the British naval semaphore. Semaphore is a way of communicating by holding two flags in certain positions, forming an alphabetic code. The semaphore signals for N and D, standing for nuclear disarmament, form the inside arms of the peace sign. The icon was to represent C and D, but by the early 1960s, the symbol was quickly adopted and had a new demanding meaning: ban the bomb. A United States pacifist participated in the first Aldermaston March, representing the War Resisters League. This man's name was Baird Rustin. Rustin was the chief organizer of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, held on August 28, 1963. When Rustin left Aldermaston, he took posters and peace symbol badges with him and brought them back to the United States. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents civil rights. On March 8, 1965, the United States enters the Vietnam War. Draft dodgers, conscientious objectors, pacifists, and hippies encouraged the world to make love, not war. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents anti-war. In 1968, two North High School students in Des Moines, Iowa, were suspended for wearing black armbands with a white peace sign. Mary Beth Tinker and her brother took their case to the United States Supreme Court. The school won. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents student rights and free speech. Following their wedding, John Lennon and Yoko Ono spent their honeymoon staging a bed-in. Protesting the Vietnam War, the couple stayed in room 702 at the Amsterdam Hilton Hotel for a week, lying in bed. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents giving a chance. Greenwich Village in Lower Manhattan, New York, housed a gay bar called the Stonewall Inn. During the early morning hours of June 28, 1969, the police raided the bar. In response to the police raid, members of the gay community began to riot. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents LGBTQ rights. Bethel, New York, August 15th to the 18th, 1969. 400,000 people, 32 acts, one farm, Woodstock. 3 days of peace and music. More likely it was 3 days of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents music. 13 unarmed Kent State students were shot by the Ohio National Guard on May 4, 1970. President Nixon's decision to invade Cambodia led to approximately 500 students protesting. The National Guard was ordered to open fire. 4 students were killed. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents life. In 1971, Greenpeace was founded with an activist goal for issues like climate change, deforestation, overfishing, commercial whaling, genetic engineering, and anti-nuclear. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents Earth and her environment. With the popularity of such a meaningful and simple symbol, the statement moved to fashion. Peace signs were not only on buttons, but shirts, ties, guitar straps, bandanas, and scarves, sported the C&D brand. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents a fashion statement. September 11, 2001 forever changed the United States and the world. President Bush declared the war on terrorism shortly after the attacks, a war that still rages on today. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents anti-terrorism. January 20th, 2009 was a day of celebration. The first Black president was inaugurated, something I wasn't sure I would see in my lifetime, and yet he was the first president I was able to vote for. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents hope and change. In 2014, Michael Brown and Eric Garner were black men murdered in police custody, and the Black Lives Matter movement was gaining traction. Unfortunately, in 2020, police brutality remains the norm. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents Black Lives Matter. In 2016, an election year, an unlikely Republican candidate became the nominee. Not even winning the majority of the votes, this unlikely Republican candidate was sworn in as president, dividing our fragile nation even further. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents the importance of the right to vote. January 21st, 2017, the day after the presidential inauguration, women, men, and children came together for the Women's March. Feminism was alive and well. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents women's rights. Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein, two powerful men sentenced to prison for sexual assault and rape. The Me Too movement gains traction. Sexual harassment survivors begin to be heard. It was a movement that brought to light how common sexual harassment is. The nuclear disarmament symbol now also represents survivors. Nuclear disarmament, anti-war, civil rights, student rights, free speech, a chance, LGBTQ rights, music, life, Mother Earth, fashion, anti-terrorism, hope and change, Black Lives Matter, the right to vote, women's rights, survivors. The simple circle with 3 lines represents humanity.